Hey there! We continue our series on the Enchiridion of Epictetus. I'm using this translation, How to Be Free, by Professor A.A. Long. Let's talk about some more Stoicism. Chapter 10. In all circumstances, keep in mind to turn into yourself and ask what resources you have for dealing with these things. If you see a good-looking man or woman, you will find self-control the appropriate power. If pain afflicts you, you will find endurance. If rudeness, you will find patience. By developing these habits, you will not be carried away by your first impressions. Well, we come back to a theme that we have discussed several times. You are in control. You are in control. If you are in a relationship and you meet someone or you see someone on the street and they're a beautiful person and you kind of have some thoughts about that person you should not have, then you should not have those thoughts. And you're in control. You can say, wait, I may have these thoughts, but I'm not going to act on them. Then and only then are you a virtuous person. If you do act on those thoughts, you are not a virtuous person, and your reward will not be a life of eudaimonia, a good, satisfying, rich life, because you're not acting in a proper manner. You're not being virtuous. I like his examples. If pain afflicts you, you will find endurance. People can handle a lot more than they often think. And if rudeness, you will find patience. Rudeness is unspeakably ugly, in the words of Hannibal Lecter, and I agree, I hate rudeness. But if you get angry at someone else's rudeness, you must realize that someone else's rudeness is outside of your control. That is a dispreferred indifference, something that you cannot control, that you would like to avoid, but you're exposed to it anyway. Don't you think that rudeness reflects more on that person than it reflects on you? Because if you do, you don't have to get upset. You'll endure it. It's okay. They were rude. I used to get incredibly upset when people were rude with me. But you know what I think now? Doesn't matter. Let them be rude. They are rude. I am not rude. I choose to not be rude. They choose to be rude. I cannot choose to make them less rude. I can choose to not be bothered. Boom. There's a psychological experiment where people had to rate how strong I thought their emotions were going to be. So this was the scenario. You're a participant. You get $5. And the experimenter says, we're going to play a little game. We're going to toss this coin. Heads, you get another $5. Tails, you have to give me back $3. You get to keep the other two. Okay? Now they asked these participants, typically first-year students who participate in psychological experiments, they asked these students, how positive do you think it's going to be if you win this money? How negative do you think you're going to feel emotionally if you lose this money? And most participants said that they thought they were going to feel pretty positive when they won the $5 because they got another $5. Now they leave the lab with $10. And almost all of them said, if I lose these $3, I will feel very bad. A very intense negative emotion. Well, then they flipped the coin. Half of the participants won, half of the participants lost. They had some sort of what we call a filler task, just a ridiculous little cognitive task, has nothing to do with the experiment, just to occupy your mind for 10 minutes. And then they asked these participants again, now in hindsight, what is your emotion? How do you feel? Do you feel, how positive do you feel after you've won, or how negative do you feel after you have lost? And the fun thing is, people still felt pretty positive when they had won, but they felt not nearly as negative as they had predicted they would feel when they had lost. And basically, both emotions have the same intensity. So afterwards, on this measurement where they had to indicate how emotional they actually felt, how intense their emotions were, if you would plot this as a bar graph, both bars were almost equal height. So negative and positive emotions were almost the same intensity. So people, what I'm trying to get at, is people severely overestimated how negative a loss would make them feel. And people do that. Why? Well, there's all kinds of reasons you can come up with, but here's a couple of reasons. What people don't take into account is their coping mechanisms at the time something negative happens. These students thought, oh, I'm going to lose $3, it's going to be terrible. But then the time came and they were asked for their reasoning. And they said something along the lines of, well, I lost, but I still got to take $2 home that I didn't have when I entered the lab. Or they said something like, well, $5 is not that much money, so I lost $3. $3 is not much. Coping. Strategies you can use to deal with the things that happen to you. And negative things often are not as negative as you expect them to be. Een mens lijdt dikwijls het meest door het lijden dat hij vreest. A little bit of Dutch. People often suffer most because of the suffering you're afraid of. But once that suffering comes, quite often, it's not as bad as you thought it was. We exaggerate these things. We think everything is going to be horrible. We use these terms all the time. This is going to be awful. Albert Ellis, the founder of rational emotive therapy, a type of psychotherapy that is based on Stoic thought, on Epictetus' thought, on Marcus Aurelius' thought, had a term for that. Awfulizing. You are awfulizing. Humans awfulize all the time, and I'm not saying that everything is just, a walk through the woods. No, of course not. If you lose a partner or a child or your parent or a friend, of course it royally sucks. But it often is not as terrible as you feared it would be. And at the end of the day, again, you remain in control. Cognitively speaking, you are in control of your thoughts. And if you're in control of your thoughts, you're also in control of your emotions. It's not as bad as you think it's going to be. And you just look at the resources you have. If people are rude, yes, there is patience. That's something I am practicing. If someone in a shop is rude to me, I practice patience. I live in a small town now, and I'll be fair, everything I do here takes time. If I go to the post office, I can expect to spend anything between 5 and 25 minutes there. Because everything is done slowly, at a leisurely pace. This is not a big city, nobody really cares. Nobody has to go anywhere. It's a small town, it's all okay. And at first it annoyed me, and I thought, God, I'm fitting for 15 minutes. But now I think, you know what, it doesn't matter. What does it matter? Or, to be more precise, what am I doing to myself by thinking, God, I wish I was out, I wish this was faster. That's not up to me. It's not up to me. It's not within my control. It is a dispreferred indifferent. I would like to avoid spending 25 minutes in the post office, but it is not up to me. It's not within my control how long I spend there. It's up to the person helping the customers. So I will find that patience. If you have to do something scary, go to a job interview. I once had someone from the pen community talk to me about performing music. That could be scary. If you have to undergo surgery, that's scary. You will find courage. Because you have courage. It's inside you. You just need to realize it. And once you realize that you have that, things become easier. So think of that. What do I have? If I have to do something frightening, well, I have courage. If I have to undergo something like rudeness or something that takes so much time, you have patience. You just need to use it, right? And if you have to be strong because something bad has happened in your life, you have that strength. You have it. You just need to tap into it. And I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying, oh yeah, sure, I'll just be strong. No, that is a matter of practice. But it's also a matter of making an active decision. And when you make that active decision, it'll be easier. Not easy, easier. And the more you do it, the more you practice, the easier it becomes. It will. You just need to do it. So, you have your coping mechanisms. Use them. And if you don't have coping mechanisms, maybe talk to someone. Find some help to teach you better coping mechanisms. And then you have them. And then you can use them. I hope this was useful. And I'll gladly see you later. Bye-bye.